Well, I didn't get to talk to everybody, but I think the common denominator is be ready for training camp. It's going to be a hard training camp. Obviously, to be in this position at this point in the season and how disappointing it is an understatement. You know, we didn't when I came here, I didn't envision being here in this place. So, you know, we can learn from what happened in the past here, but obviously we can't change what's happened. What we can do to change is make sure that we're ready for training camp.
Coming from a winning organization, guys today have talked about how they became okay with losing. Is that mind-boggling?
Well, I can't. We have to evaluate everything, and that's, you know, coaching staff, the players. What are they willing to change? I think that's the biggest question as we move forward. What are they going to personally invest in this summer to change? Obviously, when you get a start like you did this year, you know, I think we went 3-7-2, and that doesn't help, you know, because that has a big effect on the players that have been here in the past, and it's hard to overcome. And that's why I think the question is, what are we willing to change that this atmosphere?
Ryan O'Reilly's very frank a little while ago. He lost some of his passion for hockey this season. Could you see that in him, and maybe some of the other guys that just they're beaten down by everything and they lost some fire?
Well, I can't speak for Ryan O'Reilly, but I didn't feel he lost his passion for the game. I think that could be a direct result of just the position we're in.
I think the word he uses is love, but did you see that in him?
I didn't see it. I mean, I look at our team, and I look at the individuals. Some guys had career years. Some guys were right on spot with their career. To me, I think for Ryan O'Reilly, I don't think he lost the love or passion for the game. I think it's just a result of where we are.
What did you learn about Ryan as a player?
Really good 200-foot player at both ends of the ice. You know, his face-offs speak for themselves, obviously. But I think, again, that the question comes back as individuals, what are we willing to change to get better? I think that's the first question that we have to ask ourselves. And I think it starts with, you know, being conditioned at training camp. You know, when you look back at training camp, there was a lot of philosophy, structure, system change that was implemented. And I think that took away a little bit from the conditioning part. And then we had to address that part early in October, where the compete battle, just the standard overall in our practices. I think, you know, looking back at that, we won't have to do that again this year. We're going to get right to work, and it's going to be a tough camp.
Phil, aside from that, just the simple change in the culture, how is there a handbook? I mean, is there any way that you can identify or pinpoint how to change simply the culture of this cloud that's hanging around?
Well, I think winning does that. You know, getting off to a good start does that. I think that's going to be really important for us moving forward, because then you can get some confidence moving forward, because when you've been into this environment and you start to lose, there's a tremendous amount of pressure on you as an individual. So that goes back, what are you willing to change? How are you going to get better this summer to make a difference? And that's why it's so important when you look at overall our season. We just lacked consistency. You know, we never could put a winning streak together, and I think there was too many peaks and too many valleys. I should rephrase that, not enough peaks and too many valleys.
Phil, do you think that this roster needs a major overhaul?
Well, I think we're going to evaluate everything. You know, Jason and I, over the next couple of weeks and moving into the draft, we really have to evaluate our players.
Phil, there's a lot of talk about New Jersey and Colorado, what they've been able to do this year, how that would translate to you guys next year. A lot of that's going to be in the way Jason retools the roster, but how much of that will kind of rely on Jack kind of doing what Taylor Hall and Nathan McKinnon did this year and becoming a superstar?
Well, I think there comes a point in your career, right? What you have to realize, what's important, and obviously winning, and what it takes to win, the commitment to win in this league. And that's what we talk about the change. That's what they have to ask themselves, and we have to ask themselves is, what are we willing to change? What are we going to do differently to turn this thing around? I look at Colorado. There's a group of players there that got together and said, we need to change. We need to do things differently. We need to listen. We need to be coachable. And you can see the result. And it requires a big commitment. It's a huge commitment to change the direction of this franchise.
Dale Bilesman certainly went through a lot here the last couple of years in terms of culture, in terms of commitment from players. I mean, were you surprised at some of the things you saw from the players? It works pretty similar to what we've seen in previous years.
I don't know if I wasn't surprised, and I can't speak on Dan's situation. I can only reflect on this year. And I think for me, when I look at our team and our group, we had some stretches where we played really good hockey. We have to realize what it took to win in those games, and I think obviously, I've said it before, it's our 5-on-5 scoring. We can talk about attacking the game, we can talk about pace and playing fast, but I think the biggest denominator for me is our checking detail and keeping the puck out of our net. That's going to give you a chance to win every night, and you can see it. It's black and white, our 5-on-5 goal differential. That's where it needs to start. We have to have a really good mindset about checking, and keeping the puck out of our net. I think the more you do that, the more you focus on that, the more you will have the puck and the more you will score. So that's one of the areas that we really need to focus on.
And how much do you need your goaltending to be much more consistent on a nightly basis?
I think when we did get good goaltending, we didn't get enough goal support, and obviously we probably needed a save here or there at critical times in the game. I mean, that's fairly obvious. But I don't think you can put blame on our goaltenders overall. I think Chad, maybe had a rough start, but he really gave us some really good games. It didn't end well for him. Obviously, he'd like to change that. And Robin's really given us some good goaltending. We never really probably gave him the goal support. And in saying that, at critical times in the game, we were the ones to crack. We didn't stay the course. We weren't comfortable in that situation. We have to be more comfortable in those situations where it's a tight game, and rely on our checking and our defense to overcome that adversity part of our game.
As you've gone through your first season, and you're talking about players needing to change, can you see things that you might need to change or augment?
I think for me personally, when I look after my first year, I think there's a lot of good pieces in that locker room. But I think it's very evident to me that our checking detail has to get better. And I think the players in there realize that. Being able to listen and be coachable in that respect, that's what I think is going to be a big difference for us next year.
You mentioned Robin Leonard. He's getting a second opinion. What was the injury? How bad was it? How long?
Just a lower body injury. We'll know more about that in the near future.
Could he be looking at surgery?
I don't have an answer for that right now.
You went with 4 alternates instead of naming a captain. Would you like to have a captain?
And that's something that we're going to have to evaluate, as we move forward here. I thought our captains did a good job this year, but I don't have an answer for that right now at this point. We're going to continue to evaluate that throughout the summer.
Phil, when you said it's going to be a tough camp, does that start with you being tougher on them at that time?
Yes, I think so. I think it does start. I got a lead, right? And when I talk about that, I think, when you're implementing these systems and the philosophy and structure, that takes time. And I think we don't have to go through that. We know how we want to play and as a team, and I think we have to be ready to go. I think our start is going to be crucial for our season next year, and that starts in training camp. And you can talk about the results that we had this year, but our playoffs start on the first day of training camp.
When you look as a first-time NHL head coach, are there things that you look at, like in a game, I shouldn't do that, or I want to do that, or I want to do this differently? As you look back, are there things that you look at that say, I'd like to do a few things differently?
Well, I think there's a lot of things you want to do differently when you're in this position, and I have to reflect on that in the next week or two. I don't have an answer for that right now. I thought the communication was really good between our players and our coaching staff. I thought our preparation was very, very solid, and that's a question that I'll have to reflect on, and because I have to be better as well.
There are things that you can control and things you can't. How much of your preparation in the off-season as an organization changes if you win this lottery?
Well, when we get to that point, we'll have to discuss that from Jason and myself. So, I can't really answer that right now. I mean, obviously, we're going to get a good player, and that's going to be beneficial for us. I don't want to be in this position next year saying the same thing. So, that's what I can control.
How do you make believers out of the fan base?
I think we're going to have to earn their trust back. I think it's providing a good, solid effort every night and a commitment in that area. And the guys know that we all have to be better here at home. I mean, that was very, very disappointing, the record at home here for our fans. And that's something that we're going to have to work through.
For this season for you, how much of this was in any way expected for dealing with the team and coaching and doing everything and how you plotted out what your first season was going to be like? How much of this did you meet it head on?
How much did I meet it head on?
Like, how much of it, like, what you expected, how different was it?
Well, I think it's just the where we are. I never expected this, so it was a difficult season in that respect. I'm not used to having the results that we had. That was an adjustment of trying to keep pushing our players, keep motivating our guys, keep them together, because we could have easily broken apart. So that's why when you look at this year, we're going to learn from it, because we don't want to be in this position next year.
How did you guys grow as a coaching staff and your respective teams?
I don't. Jason and I will have to evaluate that. I don't expect any changes, but that's my answer from right now. Certainly, when you're in this position, things change. So.
Phil, what's the biggest thing you're going to say to Jason that you want on this team that you don't have right now?
Well, I think that's just one of those things that we're going to have to talk through and evaluate first, and then we'll have the answers for those questions later. But we haven't even spoken to each other about that situation. We're trying to get through these exit meetings with the players, and we'll have more discussions at the end of this week about that.
How much hope do you have looking, at least having these youngsters get a taste of the NHL? And how much do the Amherst go into the playoffs? How much do you think that might provide a boost for this organization?
I think one of the things that, being in this position, which was, not very, very good, I think it gave an opportunity some young players to come in and get some ice and some games and some legitimate scenarios where they're put in tough positions. I think that's going to grow their experience. And I think with this, Rochester being in the playoffs is going to be a great experience for them. It's sort of the fruit of their labor that they put in through the season. Now they're going to be challenged in a playoff run here. They're getting a lot of guys back now, which is going to add some more depth and put them in a good position to do some damage.
Can you change the culture with the same roster?
That's something that we'll have to evaluate, definitely. But those are going to be some, things that we're going to talk about, Jason and I. I believe there's a lot of good group of players in there that are willing to change now, because they haven't gotten the results in the last 3 or 4 years, especially having a season like this. They have to change. We all have to change to be better.
What did you learn about Red?
Rasmus is a really fierce competitor. He plays a really gritty game with good puck skills and good decisions. I think there's a guy that you can rely on. He's dependable. I think he's got a lot of pride in his game, and obviously he doesn't like where we are right now. He wants to be a solution to the problem, and moving forward, he has to be a big part of that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Phil.